We have been in a fog, and as we've emerged, we see that the world has been pushed to the brink. And so have you. I'm Dr. David Owers, I'm the Doc of DeFi, and I am here again on a very blustery day. Cold, blustery, rainy, and I think I've been pushed to the brink this time. But I went in. This is my 12th day doing the cold plunge. And I think the theme that came up with me today is blind faith. I kind of did this with blind faith in mind, knowing that there is some benefit to all of this, there is some research behind all of this, and that I have prepared myself before doing something like this, and so I went ahead and did it, and I'll keep doing it. But that translates a little bit to most things in life. I guess we have all done something on blind faith, whether in the personal or business life, and I certainly have. I've gone into some business ventures or some what others might call schemes that I thought had really good basis and value, and they didn't always pay out. I got into some interpersonal relationships and so-called situations, let's say, and to an extent, discerning, but to an extent with a bit of blind faith, and found that that risk didn't always pay off either, didn't always come to very helpful people, and that can have some long-term consequences as well as some short-term. But the markets are all the same. Crypto space as well, the real market. Everything has to have a little bit of blind faith, but maybe with a bit of understanding. I also was thinking about what's going on in the crypto space, particularly with the flagship product called Bitcoin. If you're not familiar with it, it is down, and it continues to be down. It rallies a little bit, but is overall down, and a lot of the critics of the crypto space are shaking their finger in an "I told you" fashion, and they may be right. Who knows? No one has a crystal ball. I certainly don't. But I came across an individual who has a lot of knowledge and who had a lot of experience in the space, who described Bitcoin and its so-called cycles. The very first cycle back in 2010 or 2011, where it rose significantly and then fell abruptly in a relatively short period of time, was so-called cycle 1. And then after a little while there was a recovery, and it rose again, and around the 2014-2015 time. I guess someone's not very cooperative with my idea to produce a video, and they are trimming the grass all around me. But this is the driest place I could find. At any rate, it rose again. The first rise was maybe in the hundreds of dollars when it was first at inception, from zero. The second rise was maybe into the thousands of dollars, but then it fell again when it reached closer to 10,000 around its peak. It fell again quite abruptly. But then there was another recovery. It took a bit longer between the second and third recovery as between the first and second. But nonetheless, there was a recovery. This time it surged to close to 60,000 before it fell to its current level of 30, but not zero. Is it going to go to zero? Again, I have no crystal ball, nor am I saying that these cycles are in any way trying to suggest that I think there's no volatility and it's quite predictable in this market. That's not true. But I'm just sort of showing that someone has shown these trends, and they kind of make sense. So now we're at a low. We might go a bit lower. Who knows? And then the recovery, if there is one, could take longer, because it was longer between the first and second peaks. It was a certain distance between the first and second peaks. It was longer between the second and third peaks. And if we head to a fourth peak, that time, if there is some sort of maturation pattern that's being established, is going to be a bit longer, right? So we can hold out for a bear market or sideways market for maybe a bit longer, if there is some sort of pattern that's being established here, even on a very general sense. So thinking of that, it's almost like Bitcoin is still a toddler. So you're taking a toddler along a hike, along a journey, and you're mature and the toddler is a toddler. In the first peak, Bitcoin was an infant or a newborn. Second peak, an infant, now maybe a toddler. And so whereas in each stage of evolution there could be a an accomplishment, something like a peak, right? An infant can reach a peak of performance for that level, but not sustainable. And then a newborn, same. A toddler can reach a peak of performance relative to what toddlers can do, but not sustainable. So what if you were bringing a toddler along on a walk or a small hike? Right? At some point, the toddler will sort of bottom out, won't be able to continue as far as you can. But that doesn't mean that the toddler's value overall is affected. It just means that that's a part of their evolution, and they're going to move on. They're going to go on, right? So a little bit of a cheesy analogy, I would say, but it's kind of that idea. Bitcoin, crypto space, the blockchain, in my opinion, is not going anywhere, despite the fact that it has some unsustainable runs. And so, as you can see, it is quite rainy around here. Some unsustainable runs. And sometimes you have to have a bit of discernment and a bit of blind faith in the overall. And so I hope that was food for thought, and we'll see you again, hopefully on a less rainy day, on the next cold plunge.